Welcome to Mission APSC AE YouTube channel. আজি আপোনালোকৰ কাৰণে লৈ আহিছো strength of materials ৰ প্ৰথম ক্লাছ. Strength of materials ৰ আজিৰ এই ক্লাছটোত আমি বেসিক্স কিছুমান ডেফিনিশন চাম strength of materials related. So first science আমি সকলোৱে ক্লাছ 10 11 12 ত সায়েন্স পঢ়ো. সায়েন্সৰ এটা পোৰশন হৈছে ফিজিক্স আৰু ফিজিক্সৰ এটা পোৰশন হৈছে ফোৰ্সেস আৰু এই ফোৰ্সেসত আমি ডিসকাস কৰো মেকানিজম অফ ফোৰ্সেস অৰ্থাৎ ফোৰ্স বিলাকে কেনেকে বিহেভ কৰে সেই বিহেভিয়ৰৰ বিষয়ে আমি স্টাডি কৰো বিশেষকৈ ফিজিক্সত সো যেটো মেকানিজম পাৰ্ট এই মেকানিজম পাৰ্টৰ পৰাই যেটো আমাৰ সাবজেক্ট হয় স্ট্ৰেংথ অফ মেটেৰিয়েলছ এই পাৰ্টিকুলাৰ সাবজেক্ট টু স্টাৰ্ট হৈছে সো মেকানিক্স ওয়াৰ্ডটো যদি তোমালোকে সোৱা মেকানিক্সত দুটা কথা কয় ওয়ান ইজ ইউ ক্যান সে মোশন and another is static mane race condition so jodi ami eta particular body you can say suppose body to motion ot ase with a certain velocity or suppose body to rest ot ase so ei duita category ami mechanics ot study koru so ei mechanics to ako in engineering line we have divided into several types so mechanics ok ami divide korilu কিছুমান মেকানিক্স এনুকা হয় যত আমি সলিড মেটেৰিয়েলছৰ বিষয়ে ডিসকাস কৰো কিছুমান মেকানিক্সত আমি ডিসকাস কৰো ফ্লুইড বডিৰ ওপৰত আৰু কিছুমান মেকানিক্সত we are discussing about rigid body so engineering mechanism বা engineering mechanics এটো আমি প্ৰথমতে পঢ়ো before studying strength of materials because engineering যেটো মেকানিক্স হয় এটো rigid bodiৰ ওপৰত ডিল কৰে rigid bodiৰ ওপৰত ডিলছ কৰে মানে you can say rigid body কোনো ধৰণৰ ডিফৰ্মেশন নহয় there is no deformation so tenuka khetrot the study of motion or the study of motion is known as engineering mechanics jodi ami rigid body r uporot discuss koru tar bisote jodi saw solid ot ete tinta parameter important hoy one you can say stress another is strain and another is stability so if we discuss about stress strain characteristics of solids then we can say it is mechanics of solids tare aneta naam hoise strength of materials jetu course ami pohibole goi asu and you can say it is also solid mechanics so mechanics of solids solid mechanics or you can say strength of materials or you can say mechanics of deformable bodies he gutei khini ki hoy you can say strength of materials ore belek naam so strength of materials ot main difference to is engineering mechanics ot ke in engineering mechanics we have deal with rigid bodies whereas in you can say solid mechanics we are deal with deformable body so jibilak body deform hoy certain stress ahe strain ahe in internal part ot solid body to internal part ot jodi strain ahe stress ahe then we can say it is strength of materials আৰু ফ্লুইড বডিৰ অকমান কনসেপ্ট ডিফাৰেন্ট হৈ যায় ফ্লুইড বডিৰ ওপৰত যেতি আমি স্টাডি কৰো তাতে আমি চাইছো শিয়াৰ স্ট্ৰেছ না থাকে ইন ফ্লুইড we have assumed shear stress is 0 so fluid body কাৰণে জিবিলাক এনালাইসিস কৰো that is comes under fluid mechanics আৰু deformable body কাৰণে জিবিলাক আমি স্টাডি কৰো which are not fluid so হেখিনি আমি কম mechanics of solids or you can say mechanics of deformable bodies mechanics of deformable bodies is nothing but you can say strength of materials but rigid body karone jodi ami discussion koru teti ami hetu kom engineering mechanics so engineering mechanics is also a part of civil engineering eta course hoy engineering mechanics or engineering mechanics pili tate ami rigid body bihoy discuss koru mechanics of solids jetu both mechanical and civil or ami discuss koru that is mechanics of solid bili sobotke jona jay by strength of material bili jona jay duita eketa namote ami eketa meaning e actually kore aru fluid mechanics or bikhoy ami discuss koru okay so this is all about basics of you can say strength of materials concept to core price so the main difference between the engineering mechanics and strength of materials is in engineering mechanics we have discussed about rigid body and in you can say solid mechanics we have discussed about deformable bodies so now first ami sam ki bodies keta type or thakibo pare so if you try to categorize the bodies first one is rigid bodies jeto ami engineering mechanics ot sam ba theory of machine or ami rigid body loi deal koru jodiu rigid body logot we also see some of the deformations okay jenuka studied rigid body deformation, rigid body ওপৰতো discuss কৰা হয় along with some deformable point. Okay, so some deformable body ওপৰতো যদি আমি discuss কৰোঁ, that means ইয়াতে theory of machine ত আমি rigid as well as you can say solid or you can say deformable body ওপৰত study কৰোঁ. So এটা portion আমি rigid body ওপৰত discussion কৰোঁ আৰু এটা portion আমি deformable body ওপৰত start কৰোঁ. তেতিয়া হেতু কয় theory of machine. And rigid body wholly যদি আমি rigid body ওপৰত discussion কৰোঁ, then it is called engineering mechanics. Deformable body, deformable means deformation আহিছে. So internal part ত you can say internal part change hoise due to the applications of load, then you can say it is a deformable body. Our deformable body solid hoy, fluid hoy. Fluid is also a deformable body. That means fluid mechanics we can say it is a study of deformable body also. But here the material is fluid. Okay, so solid or ক্ষেত্ৰত we can আকৌ আমি দুটা ভাগত আমি সেপাৰেট কৰিব পাৰো. One is called static condition and another is called dynamic condition. Static condition মানে the solid particles, the study of motion of a solid particles or you can say solids based on static condition. যেতিয়া বডিটো ৰেষ্টত আছে হেতু সময় যিখিনি আমি study কৰো, that is called static condition. আৰু dynamic condition ৰ study কৰা মানে কি হৈছে, if there is some vibration occurs like earthquake নিচিনা কিছুমান যদি vibration occur হয়, so তেতিয়া তেনুকা condition আমি যিখিনি study কৰো deformable bodies কাৰণে হেতু কয় dynamic mechanics or you can say dynamic mechanics of solids. So mechanics of solid you can divide it into static study and as well as dynamic study. Next part. So if you see the definition of solid mechanics or strength of material, the solid mechanics is as a subject is a branch of applied mechanics that deals with behaviors of solid bodies subjected to various types of loading. Suppose if we have one particular body, suppose amar eta body ase, suppose a body to several external load lagise. A external load bilak logar karone a solid body to kenuka dhoroner behavior korise, how the deformation takes place. ইয়াৰ পইণ্ট বিলাকত যিবিলাক বডিৰ ইন্টাৰনেল পইণ্ট হয়, ইন্টাৰনেল ষ্ট্ৰাকচাৰ হয়, তাতে কেনেকুৱা ধৰণৰ চেঞ্জেছ হৈছে সেই গোটেইখিনি ডিসকাস কৰে সলিড মেকানিক্সে. The mechanics of deformable solid is known as you can say strength of materials. So we have used deformable terms. যদি এটো rigid হলেতেন, then we will study about engineering mechanics. So deformable solid or study আমি আৰু কিছুমান নামেৰে জানো, like strength of material, like you can say strength of materials or you can say solid mechanics, you can say mechanics of solids, you can say mechanics of deformation body, etc. So rigid body or deformable body difference to so here I have make one particular diagram. So yate so this is one particular materials. So a material to suppose eta point yate ase, material to eta point dhorisu 1 aru eta point dhorisu 2 aru hiyotor major distance to ami dhorisu x. So duta point ami consider korisu inside the material, this material, suppose material to naam di dilo moi, suppose it is the material name is suppose a নামৰ যেটো মেটেৰিয়েল হয় তাৰ ভিতৰত আমি দুটা ইনসাইড পইণ্ট লৈছো, এটা পইণ্ট হৈছে 1, এটা পইণ্ট হৈছে 2 আৰু হিহঁতৰ মাজৰ ডিসটেন্সটো হৈছে x. সাপোজ আমি এক্সটাৰ্নালি p টেনসাইল ফোর্স লগাইছো, দ্যাট মিন্স p ফোর্সেৰে এটো সাইডেও টানিছো এটো সাইডেও টানিছো this particular body. যদি বডিটো ৰিজিড হয়, then there will be no sense of length, there will be no sense of x. That means 1 আৰু 2 এই পইণ্ট দুটা major distance to x maintain hoye thakibo whether we are putting external load or not. Jodi ami external load provide koriso tothapitu kintu change of x will be 0. Mane original position ot jeneke x asile final position ot after p load apply korar pisotu the distance will be remain constant or remain preserved. That means there is no sense of length, there is no sense of diameter, there is no sense of this position of the bodies, position of these 2 points, right, del x. So then what we have studied in engineering mechanics, since the body is fixed, so if you see, so jibilak body rigid hoy tate jetia tumi external load eta apply koriba, this body start moving with a particular velocity. Okay, so that movement we will study in engineering mechanics. So ইয়াতে সোৱা p load apply কৰাৰ পিছত a পজিশনত থকা বস্তুটো b পজিশনলৈ গুচি গল that means ইয়াৰ মাজৰ internal changes একো হোৱা নাই বডিটোৰ ভিতৰত internal change একো হোৱা নাই that means বডিটো rigid হয় সেইকাৰণে ভিতৰৰ পজিশন বিলাক ইয়াতে যদি দুটা পাৰ্টিকুলাৰ মাজৰ ডিসটেন্স টো x আছে suppose a and b ইয়াতো দুটা পাৰ্টিকুলাৰ মাজৰ ডিসটেন্স টো x এ থাকিব but there is a motion eta motion hoise from this point to this point without changing the internal structures then we can say it is a rigid body so rigid body upor discussion ami koro engineering mechanics next another term we have seen that is resistance body so resistance body to similar to rigid body so in case of civil engineering we have seen retaining walls or retaining walls bilake ki kore earth fills bilakok বা you can say earth filling or jega bilakot ki kore soil khini dhori rakhe okay so jodi ami eta rigid retaining wall banao proper reinforcement di pelai proper concreting kori pelai aru yate jodi ami side of soil di diu this wall will not moves okay jodi yar strength to bahut beshi thake so this particular wall behave as a resistance body a wall pe behave koribo ki boli resistance body boli so resistant body is nothing but it is a form of rigid behavior a body which shows rigid behaviors up to certain amount of external load is called resistance body for example walls so ami ekhon wall suppose construct korisu aru ei particular value leke ki koribo ei walls khone eta particular load leke ki hobo he retain koribo paribo that's why walls we can act as a resistance body suppose এই রিটেইনিং ওয়াল খনৰ সয়লৰ যেটো ফোর্স হল সয়লে যেটো ফোর্স এই রিটেইনিং ওয়াল খনত দিছে যদি বহুত বেছি হৈ যায় সো এটা টাইমত obviously রিটেইনিং ওয়াল খনৰ এটা নিজৰ পার্টিকুলার স্ট্রেংথ থাকিব সেই স্ট্রেংথটো যেতি ওভারকাম কৰি দিব সয়েল পার্টিকল খিনিৰ weight কে obviously the retaining wall will be break and that particular strength at which the retaining wall is failed that is called ultimate strength of that particular retaining walls okay so first topic of strength of materials is simple stress and strain condition so before studying the chapter simple stress and strain we have to know about some of the mechanical properties in every competitive exams some questions are coming from based on directly property bilakor upor hodi de elasticity ki mean korise resilience ba resilience ki mean korise hardness ki mean korise he guti kini olop jani thoato bhal before starting the simple stress and strain condition in strength of materials so the properties which are related to the behaviors of the materials under the action of force under different conditions are called as mechanical properties of the materials so materials bilake kene dhorne behavior dekhai with the action of different forces hey behavior khini represent koribole kisuman properties materials bilakor properties kisuman assign kora hoise ba eta particular naam dia hoise property bilakok collection kori like strength first properties you can say strength then we have elasticity we have plasticity we have ductility we have malleability we have resilience we have hardness fatigue toughness stiffness creep etc so bahut khini term ase guti term khinir physical meaning to janibo lagibo before starting this particular course so first we'll start about strength mane capacity you can say it is a capacity okay it is the capacity of the material withstand load like moi jitu koisilo olobagot retaining walls suppose soil khini weight to jodi bahi goi thake eta time ot ki hobo the retaining wall will be fail at that particular time jitu homoy retaining wall maximum load bear kori ase heitu homoyot heituye hobo ki retaining wall khonor maximum capacity you can say maximum strength that is called strength so strength you can define as the capacity of the material which withstand the load secondly the strength of material is you can say ability to retain or sustain loads with under distortion orthat retaining wall khonor kuno dhoroner distortion nohuake kuno dhoroner collapse nohuake ba kuno dhoroner rupture mane ki hoise collapse nohua to ke rupture bili bujwa hoy that means you can say rupture to tumaloke kobo pare eta sudden bursting bili kobo pare ba sudden break so kuno dhoroner sign ne dekhake jodi suddenly retaining wall khon fail kori goise that means particles black or ki hoise rupture hoise collapse hoise so that particular maximum load which sustain distortion collapse and rupture it is nothing but strength a material should have adequate strength so eta material or property ki thakibo lage it should have adequate strength when it is subjected to tension we can say compression So suppose column eta ami design koiso, that column will able to sustain a maximum load at a particular design load leke hi sustain koribo pare. So that particular load is nothing but strength of that particular column, right? So you can say shear, bending, gutei khiti jito protect koribo pare that particular strength or that particular maximum load is nothing but strength. A beam of a building should have proper bending strength. So jeti ami beam design koru in case of RCC, we have taken care of the bending stress. We have also taken care about if you design about columns, column ki kore basically compressive strength, but you can say compressive load to bear kore. So ami designing ot hodai ami ki koru, hodai main prime focus koru compressive strength to keneke protect koribo pare, right? Compressive force to keneke protect koribo pare. And similarly jiblak mechanical shaft hoy, shaft blakot ami ki koru, we have prime care to torsion mane jitu amar turning movement. So turning movement to keneke resist koribo pare hitu swai in shaft bilak ami eneke design koru jate it should properly resist the torsion movement. Okay, so these all are nothing but strength. Okay, the maximum stress that any material will withstand is called ultimate stress. Jitu maximum stress at a particular material e dhori rakhibo pare, that is called ultimate strength. Aru yak aru eta term e koa hoy, this is called knocking. Keteba exam ota hai, knocking is nothing but ultimate strength. So knocking value to jetia you can say exceed kori dibo, that means the failure will occurs. Okay, that is all about strength. Then second property, if you see the second property or second mechanical property is you can say elasticity. Elasticity term to itself says it has some elastic behavior. Kisuman elastic behavior ase. Elastic behavior thoka mane ki, suppose ami at a particular you can say rubber or kotha to imagine koribo para. If you extend rubber, jodi ami rubber eta tensile force di eneke extend koru, and once we remove the load, this particular rubber will gain its original size after removal of the load. So that means ki rubber or bahut khini elasticity property ase jar karone ei ki hoise original position le ahi goise once we remove the load. That is called elasticity. So definition to swa, it is the property of the material by virtue of which it's regain its original size and shape. So rubber ot kisuman enuka properties ase jibilake ki kore rubber to nijor original shape ole loyonat help kore when we give some external load. Jeti ami external load di diu tar pisot external load to jeti ami remove kori diu, original shape ba size ole ki hoy gusi ahibo pare. That is called elasticity. If you imagine stone, suppose ami eta boulders loiso, so boulders tuk jodi ami externally load logam ba tensile force diu, but it will directly break, right? Jitu kami ko brittle nature, yate hihote ki koribo pare elastic nature to na thake stone or khetrot, but rubber or khetrot thake. You can say steel or khetroto elasticity all of holo thake, right? So sobot ke maximum elasticity kot ase rubber ot ase. Okay, next we can say plasticity. Plasticity term itself says the plastic behavior dekha. Elasticity or opposite to elasticity ki hoy jetia ami external load logao aru jetia remove koru the original position le gusi ahe. But plasticity ki hoy jetia ami external load logao tar pisot external load to jetia he particular material to pora atorai diu, it will not able to regain its shape or size. So external load to apply kora pisot jitu shape ba size tole he particular shape ba size to he particular material to dekhai, original position le ghuri ahibo nwari he particular material to. That is called plasticity. So it is, you can define as lack of elasticity. Lack of elasticity is called as plasticity. So you can say the plasticity of a material is ability to change the shape, size of a permanent deformation without rupture when load is removed. So plasticity hoise enuka eta jetia tumi load to remove koriba, then the ability to change its shapes and size at permanent deformation. So orthat jiblak deformation hoy plasticity dara, that deformation is you can say permanent deformation. Elasticity jitu hoisle hetu koy temporary deformation without rupture. Rupture mane breaking hoar agol leke hetu koy plasticity when load is removed. Then another important mechanical properties of the material, that is called ductility or ductility. So ductility you can say it is a property of a material which undergoes a considerable deformation under tension. So yet at a term use kora hoise tension, অর্থাৎ টেনশন ফোর্স যিবিলাক মেটেৰিয়েলছে লব পাৰে, that is called ductile materials. Tensile force means ability to, you can say, withstand tension force. This is a tension force. Suppose this is a material. So eta material ami kiman duroleke tanibo paru. That particular property is called ductility. So if you imagine concrete, jodi ami concrete imagine koru, concrete is nothing but it is a mixture of cement, sand and aggregate. So tenuka eta mixture ba concrete ok jodi ami tensile force di tanibo bisaru concrete block eta, ultimately it will break. Etu tani pelai dangor hoi na jai, right? That means concrete is not a ductile materials. But if you imagine one particular rod, suppose at a rod imagine kora, suppose it is a steel rod. So tak jodi ei phale eta tension force logai dia hoy aru etu side eta tension force logai phale tona hoy, obviously ki hobo, e extend hobo. It will try to make e ki hobo olop olop ke yars length to bahai dibo. That means wire type of boni jabo, right? Like a wire, mane yar diameter to komi ahibo aru length to bahi ahibo. So he particular property to, it is a property of a material which undergoes a considerable deformation under tension is known as ductility of the materials. A body possessing ductility can be reduced from a large section to thinner and thinner section. It can be drawn into a wire. So jiman particular jiman besi wire type banabo pora jai, like aluminium tar eta jodi tumi tani thaka, so ultimately ki hobo tar diameter to komi thinner section ole gusi jabo. That is called, it is a high ductile material. So jitu properties jugedi material eta wire nisina koribo pari, wire wire nisina koribo pari, tenuka property tok you can say ductility. So take ductility kobo pari. So ductility hole ki hoy eta large section, suppose this is my original steel rod, etu tani ami ki koribo paru eta thinner section ole rupantorito koribo paru, transfer koribo paru. That is called ductility. So here it is called tensile quality of a material. That means ami tani bole hole ki koribo lagibo, we will use tensile force, suppose P force. So tensile force or direction to ami teneke show koru. Okay, ductility can be measured in terms of percentage or elongation. So ami ductility keneke measure koru, kiman percent e elongate hol. Suppose originally amar steel rod to asle suppose 1 meter, tarpa hetu tani pelai tumi 1.5 meter koila. That means del L by L jodi kora, that is kiman change hol, 1 meter asle 1.5 meter koila, mane 0.5 meter amar extra bahi gol with respect to 1 meter. So ultimately kiman palu 0.5 aru percentage likhile kiman pam, you can say 0.5 into 100, so you will get around 50%. So 50% ami ki korilo extend koribo parilo that percentage. So hodai ductility jeti ami represent koro percentage ot represent koro. So yete at a particular point you have to remember, that is metals having elongation more than 15% are ductile. Jibilak material or elongation percentage to 15% ot ke besi, yate moi 0.5 dhorisilo. So suppose 1 meter rod eta ami 1.15 meter rod ke besi jodi extend koribo paru, then we can say it is ductile material in case of metal. So metals or khetot elongation or percentage to 15% not ke jodi besi hoi jai, then we can say it is a ductile material. Sometimes some exams this question is asked. And second thing, jeti ami temperature bahai diu, suppose amar edal wire ase, wire dalor temperature jodi originally 30 degree centigrade asle ami bahai pele 40 degree centigrade korlu. So tetia tumar temperature bahar lage lage ductility common e bohe. So materials bilakor generally eta property thake, once the temperature is increases the ductility value, that means elongation hoar jitu tendency, hey tendency to bahi jai. That's why ketiaba exam ot hude ki ductility is directly proportional to temperature or indirectly proportional to temperature. So the answer will be directly proportional to temperature. Temperature bahar lage lage ductility ba ductility bahi jai. Okay, so these are the points regarding to ductility. So if you see the examples, you can say gold sobotke beshi ductile hoy. So goldor eta material tumi bahut dangor wire leke tanibo par. Then we can say silver, we can say copper, aluminium, nickel, lead, e gutei bilak hoy ductile material. So ductile material hoar karone ami long wire bilak ki hoy electricity use koribo paro, like aluminium wires, silver wires, e bilak jiblak এই materials bilak ami generally use koru jot amar long type of wire lage, because sihotor ductility ba ductility value tu beshi thake. Next 5 number property to so hardness. Hardness, we can say that scratching. Suppose you can imagine one particular, suppose concrete imagine kora. So concrete or ekhon floor ot, suppose if I put some of nails jodi ami yate di diu ba any kind of scratch ami jodi yate akibo paru with the help of some knife ekhon loi pelai jodi kotari ekhon loi pelai jodi a particular concrete tuk uporat ta scratch koribo paru, that means scratching koribo paru, hey particular property to a hardness tuk represent kore ami kiman kin scratch koribo parisu, or you can say wear and tear or penetration of the surface by harder body. So hard body eta loi hey particular you can say block tuk ami kiman scratch koribo parisu. So concrete block tuk jodi ami normally edal you can say trees ba you can say trees ba plants eblake loi pelai jodi ami concrete or block etat scratch koribole jao, the concrete will not scratch. But jodi ami you can say knife ekhon loi pelai concrete or floor you can say scratch koribo jao, it will scratch hoi jabo, right? That means concrete ke knife concrete or ki hoise concrete will be more harder as compared to knife materials, and trees ba plants or edal jodi mari loi pelai yate scratch koribole jao no hoy. That means concrete is more harder as compared to trees or plants. Okay, so trees ba plants ba mari bilakor jogedi ki koriso ami scratch koribo pora nai. So scratching jito property ba wear and tear kiman penetration koribo parise, suppose ami a particular concrete or vitor ami dangor rodor mari edal loi pelai yate hammering koriso, so kiman to penetrate koribo parise, that particular value is nothing but hardness. A hardness of a material can be defined as the resistance of a material. So concrete resist koribo obviously jetia tumi yate scratch koribole jaba. Okay, so it is the ability to of a material to resist scratch where penetration of its surface ot kiba penetrate koribo parise neki. Suppose needle eta loi pelai concrete ot humabo goisa, so suppose ami horu needle eta loi pelai concrete ot jodi humabo jao, obviously the needle will break. That means hardness to car besi, the hardness will be more in case of concrete. So the abilities of the materials to resist abrasion, scratching, indentation is known as hardness. So that is the property of hardness. So hekhini asile azir particular video tut. Then if you want to take online classes for this particular subject, that is basics of strength of materials for upcoming APSC AE exams, so you can enroll this particular course. So this course will be start from tomorrow 7 September. So je hokal interested hoy come teloke join koribo pariba. Course duration to 30 days hoy. So within 7 October will complete this particular subject. Our course fees is 999. Our English and Assamese both language ote a particular subject to pohua hobo. Our regarding information or karone a particular course tour you can WhatsApp this particular numbers, or you can mail this particular mail ID. So jokal interested hoy basics of strength of materials subject to pohibole, so teloke a particular WhatsApp number to contact koribo pariba. So jodi a particular subject a particular video to apnaloke strength of materials or bikhoye অলপ হলেও জানিব পাৰিছে, তেতিয়াহলে ভিডিওটো সাবস্ক্রাইব ভিডিওটো লাইক কৰি দিব আৰু চেনেলটো সাবস্ক্রাইব কৰি দিব। থ্যাংক ইউ ফৰ ওয়াচিং।